Lahat ng drama, tawanan, balita at all-time favorite music hits. Sa lungkot at ligaya, kami pa rin ang inyong kasama. We're the place where you truly belong. Mula sa TVH Group of Networks, ito ang inyong himpilan. Ito ang inyong tahanan. Number 1 sa Mega Manila. From Cool Studios, this is koolNews Primetime.
Good evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. This is koolNews Primetime. I'm Cairo, and we are live on TJ1 Cool FM and News Radio 93.1, where we share the latest news headlines that care for you. Let's begin with our top stories. The arrest of 3 Filipinos in China on alleged espionage charges may be part of a circulated prisoner exchange scheme with Chinese nationals also facing the same accusations here. Akbayan Party List First Nominee Lawyer Chao Dicno said on Monday. The arrest of Filipinos was announced after 2 Chinese nationals were nabbed for alleged espionage activities in Manila on February 20. On March 19, authorities said 6 foreigners, 5 Chinese and 1 Cambodian were taken into custody over supposed espionage activities in Subic Bay. This has all the hallmarks of a hostage diplomacy or a Palit Ulo scheme, Dicno said in a statement. This is a dangerous ploy to extract concessions from us. One of the Filipinos was identified as David Cervantes, a long-term resident in China who was apprehended after he was repeatedly seen loitering near military facilities. The 2 other Filipinos were identified as Albert Endencia and Natalie Lizardo, whom the Chinese Security Agency were also claimed were working to collect sensitive information. The Philippine Daily Inquirer learned that Cervantes was the first to be arrested in October 2024, followed by Endencia in January this year, and Lizardo in February. The 3 alleged spies are former scholars under a sisterhood agreement between Palawan and Hainan, China's southernmost province, in 2017. Lizardo and Cervantes belonged to the first batch of scholars at Hainan Normal University in 2018 and Endencia followed in the second batch in 2019. In view of this, Dicno also urged the Department of Interior and local government to immediately review all sister city and sister province arrangements from Chinese counterparts. These deals must be scrutinized for their implications on our national security and the safety of our citizens abroad, Dicno said. We need a full-blown investigation into how these partnerships may be compromising Filipinos under the guise of cultural and economic exchange. Also, Dicno called on the Department of Foreign Affairs to issue a travel advisory warning Filipinos of the risk of arbitrary detention and false espionage accusations when visiting China. Our people must not be left vulnerable to being scapegoated in China's hostage diplomacy, he said. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on Monday urged newly promoted Philippine National Police officials to let their actions always be rooted in what is right and in what is legally ordered. Speaking at the oath-taking ceremony of 39 star-ranked officers of the PNP, Marcos reminded the officers to do their duties with utmost dedication, integrity, and accountability. The mantle you now wear carries with it the expectation that you will embody these values in every action, every decision, and every mission that you carry out. It is this incumbent upon you to lead by example, he also said. You have been entrusted with the undaunting but notable responsibility of leadership to guide, to discipline, and to inspire the men and women under your command, Marcos continued. The President also tasked them to ensure that all PNP personnel are doing their duties with competence and trustworthiness as they play a vital role in maintaining peace and order in the country. Rest assured, the whole nation and I acknowledge and commend all the hard work that you do, Marcos also said. The Russian YouTuber will not be deported yet. Instead, he will remain in the country to face charges for local crimes he committed, Interior Secretary John-Vic Remula said on Monday. Remula President Zidorovetsky, who remained somewhat arrogant throughout the press conference. He was not allowed to speak during the press conference. Zidorovetsky was arrested and was put under custody in a detention facility in Camp Balcondiwa in Taguig. He is under custody as an undesirable alien and a flight risk, Remula said in the press conference. I will make sure that he will be tried and will not be deported until there is no verdict for him, he said partly in Filipino. He will just stay here in the Philippines. Recently, Zidorovetsky was seen on video grabbing a security guard's head, attempting to seize the gun of another security guard, and threatening to rob a woman at the Bonifacio Global City in Taguig City. Remula said they will interrogate Zidorovetsky to get the identity of his Filipino cameraman, which he said enables the commission of his offenses. People have to take responsibility for the content create. Remula said it is not a license to shame or to hurt or to besmirch anyone. And into the business, the Philippine peso fell by 1.1% on Monday to finish the first trading day of the week back to the 57 level against the dollar, as markets across the world continue to feel the pain from U.S. President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs. The local currency lost 60.9 centavos to close at 57.43 versus the greenback, data from the Bankers Association of the Philippines show. The peso's worst showing stood at 57.45. Trading was also heavy, with funds worth 2.2 billion dollars of switching hands. Michael Ricaport, Chief Economics at Rizal Commercial Banking Corp, blamed the local currency's weakness to the panic caused by Trump's sweeping tariffs on key trade partners of the United States. The US dollar peso exchange rate corrected higher largely due to the continuing effects of Trump's reciprocal tariffs announced on April 2 that could slow down the US and global economy with risk of US recession, Ricaport said. Global stock markets extended a severe plunge Monday, fueled by fears that US tariffs would lead to a global economic slowdown. European and Asian shares saw dramatic losses. The leading US index flirted with bear market territory in pre-market trading, and oil prices sagged. The massive sell-off in riskier assets at the start of the trading week follows President Donald Trump's announcement of sharply higher US import taxes and retaliation from China that saw markets fall sharply Thursday and Friday. Tokyo's Nikkei 225 index lost nearly 8% shortly after the market opened, and futures trading for the benchmark was briefly suspended. It closed down 7.8% at 31,136.58. European shares followed Asian markets lower, led by Germany's DAX index, which briefly fell more than 10% at the open on the Frankfurt Exchange, but recovered some ground to move down 5.8% in morning trading. In Paris, the CAC 40 shed 5.8%, while Britain's FTSE 100 lost 4.9% in the European morning. US futures signal for the weakness ahead. For the S&P 500, they lost 3.4%, while for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, they shed 3.1%. Futures for the Nasdaq lost 5.3%. If the pre-market futures losses materialize when the US market opens, the S&P 500 will enter bear market territory, defined as a fall of more than 20% from the peak. The index was up 17.4% as of the end of last week. On Friday, the worst market day crisis since the COVID-19 pandemic shifted into a higher gear as the S&P 500 plummeted 6% and the Dow plunged 5.5%. The Nasdaq Composite dropped 3.8%. There's no sign yet that markets are finding a bottom and beginning to stabilize, wrote Deutsche Bank analysts in the research note. Late Sunday, Trump reiterated his resolve on his decision to introduce tariffs of 10% to 50% on goods imported into the U.S., a move seen as massively disrupting world trade and supply chains across borders. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, he said he didn't want global markets to fall, but also that he wasn't concerned about the massive sell-offs, adding, sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. Exchange rates also gritted. The US dollar fell to 146.24 Japanese yen from 146.94 yen. The yen is often viewed as a safe haven in times of turmoil. The euro rose 0.3% to $1.0992. Nathan Toof, Chief Investment Officer and Senior Portfolio Manager at Manulife Investment Management said more countries are likely to respond to the U.S. with retaliatory tariffs. Given the large number of countries involved, it will take a considerable amount of time, in our view, to work through the various negotiations that are likely to happen. Ultimately, our take is market uncertainty and volatility are likely to persist for some time, he said. This is koolNews Primetime. It is now 10:40 p.m. as we will return with more news headlines that care for you right here on koolNews Primetime. Stay along with us. We will return after the break.
This koolNews edition was brought to you by TVH, the home of entertainment. Tutok na sa TVH. Available in high definition via Delsat TV. Bisitahin ang youtube.com/@TVH-Network-PH para sa inyong paboritong mga highlights at live shows. QBA Telecom's all-new Arena Saya 30. Now with 10 gigabytes access to Mobile Legends, PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty, Wild Rift, Cookie Run Kingdom, and Clash Royale for 7 days. QBA Telecom, connecting every Filipino story. Himlayang Pilipino Incorporated Memorial Park. Alay sa Diwang Pilipino.
Himlayang Pilipino.
CFB. Express the freedom of banking. Open your account today at CFB, a member of Crosslink and supervised by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Venom Powered Shit Energy Drink with Malunggay. Ultron Blaze 100 Euro 6 for a more powerful, cleaner, and efficient engine. And G-Spot Reproductive Health Choices for the lovin'. Available on Jor-A supermarket branches near you.
Para po. Nanghihina? Dugo mo to. Baka anemic ka. You need the help of 60 milligrams of iron from Hemarate FA. Para Hemarite. Right dose. Kaya recommended for Filipinos per DOHAO number 2010-0010 with proper diet and exercise. Para po! Hemarate FA, the blood vitamin.
Alagang Unilab yan.
Iron pyridoxine, vitamin B6, cyanocobalamin, vitamin B12, folic acid is the generic name of Hemarate FA. If symptoms persist, consult your doctor.
Kahit may edad na kami, masigla pa din.
Tuloy lang sa activities, on the go!
Dahil sa healthy lifestyle at tulong ng Artrisin. Para sa mga active adults, may Artrisin. Ang Artrisin ay undenatured type 2 collagen at MSM. Kasama ng proper diet at exercise, maaaring makatulong ang Artrisin. Let's go!
Make your move, baby!
Artrisin, get going! Mahalagang paalala, ang Artrisin ay hindi gamot at hindi dapat gamitin panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.
Anumang hiling, kayang tuparin. Everyone achieve the way to comfort living. Adesa, installment pay, easy, achieve mo na. Adesa, kaya.
Sumasakit ang katawan, kumikirot pa ang iyong tiyan. Ang mabisang palaban ay Pauliniment. Pauliniment. Ang Pauliniment ay natural, safe na safe kasi topical. Mabisa ang Pauliniment, mag-Pauliniment. Pow, 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 pow. Walang aw sa pow.
Methyl salicylate plus menthol plus camphor is the generic name of Aldrit's Pauliniment. If symptoms persist, consult your doctor.
Napatunayan na, sa panahon ng pinakamatinding pagsubok, dala ni James Roaf ang pagbangon, pag-asa at pagbabago. Nang tinamaan tayo ng matitinding kalamidad, nagpatayo si Roaf ng higit 200,000 bahay at nagbigay ng hanap buhay para sa mga nasakuna. Nang naging kalihim ng turismo si Roaf, higit 5 milyong turista ang bumisita sa Pilipinas at nakalikha ng 10,000 trabaho at oportunidad para sa lahat. Leadership, results, integrity. James Roaf, pagbabagong kailangan para sa ating bagong bayan. Political ad paid for and by Aksyon Nacion People's Coalition, 14th Floor U World Hotel, Ayala Center, Makati.
Ganito ang tunog ng clogged nose. Pag sinabayan pa ng headache, hirap, di ba?
Kaya pag may clogged nose and headache, decongest with Decolgen Forte, the most powerful relief versus other Decolgen formulations. With maximum decongesting action versus PE-based medicines available OTC in the Philippines. Decolgen Forte.
Kahit itanong mo sa doktor,
Alagang Unilab yan.
Phenylpropanolamine, HCI, chlorphenamine, maleate, paracetamol is the generic name of Decolgen Forte. If symptoms persist, consult your doctor.
Katipunan Banking Corporation nagsaulog sa ika-46 katuig sa maayo ug tinud-anay nga pagserbisyo. Nagatanyag sa mga nagkalain-laing pahulam sama sa business loan, salary loan, pension loan, ATM loan, collateralized or secured loan. Nanginahanglan ka ba og trabaho? Apply na! Be a part of the Katipunan Bank family. Alang sa dugang kasayuran, bisitaha ang pinakaduol namong buhatan sa inyong lugar. Katipunan Banking Corporation. Tabang sa kalampusan.
Petron Gasul, Petron Gasul, Petron Gasul, kasaligan sa kusina, sakto sa timbang. Tungod sa True Blue Flame, grabe yun kasulit, gold quality standard, dilig yun ka maipit. Petron Gasul, maugoy kasaligan, daghang sunod, pero di yun matukngan. Petron Gasul, Petron Gasolista, Petron Gasul, Petron Gasolista, Petron Gasul, Petron Gasolista, Petron Gasul.
8 hanggang dulo, patugo sa bagong bukas. Plumes Parlist. Ang parlist ng bawat plumes. Number 8 sa balota.
Political or fictional advertisement paid for and by Bloom's Party List. 88 Pantropical Avenue, Diliman, Quezon City.
Protection
Yakult!
with 8 billion live LCS
Yakult!
that may reach the intestines alive.
Yakult!
Helps improve digestion and boost immunity.
Yakult!
With proper diet and exercise,
Yakult! Kaya panalo ka dyan!
Tuhod. Siko. Baywang. Pag laging pasan ang sakit sa kasukasuan, sign na yan ng arthritis o joint deterioration. Karaniwan kapag nagkakaedad na. Kailangan ng tibay at ginhawang makakapitan. Kaya ng artrisin yan. May undenatured type 2 collagen at methylsulfonyl methane na maaaring makatulong protektahan ang kalusugan ng kasukasuan. Make the right move. Uminom ng artrisin araw-araw. Mabibili ang artrisin sa mga leading drugstores nationwide. Mahalagang paalala, ang artrisin ay hindi gamot at hindi maaaring gamitin panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.
Ang tunog ng immunity, nahirap lumaban sa sipon.
At tagal gumaling sa sipon symptoms. At tagal gumaling sa sipon symptoms.
Versus immunity na nag-Neosep Z Plus Forte, now with zinc.
Pinalakas laban sa sipon virus. Pinalakas laban sa sipon virus. Pinalakas laban sa sipon virus. Pinalakas!
Sa Neosep Z Plus Forte with zinc, pinalakas ang immunity versus previous formulation para bilis galing sa sipon symptoms by 2 to 3 days with proper diet and exercise. Kaya balik saya sa mga gusto mong gawin.
Alagang Unilab yan.
Phenylephrine HCl plus chlorphenamine maleate plus paracetamol plus zinc is the generic name of Neosep Z Plus Forte. If symptoms persist, consult your doctor.
Feeling good while you work. Cool FM.
Welcome back to Cool News Primetime. The Internal Affairs Service of the Philippine National Police will file formal administrative complaints against Eastern Police District personnel who were involved in the alleged abnormalities during the arrest of 2 Chinese nationals. Citing the results of the initial investigation, IAS Inspector General Attorney Brigido Dulay said grave breaches of police operational procedures were committed during the reported arrest of complainant Jay Lee, a Chinese national. IAS is already conducting its pre-charge investigation and is preparing to file formal administrative charges against the involved operatives and officers, the PNP unit said in a statement on Monday. Preliminary findings indicate that the illegal operations may involve more than the 8 District Special Operations Unit personnel directly implicated in the case. IAS is now looking into the possible command responsibility of senior officers who may have tolerated, condoned, or failed to prevent these unlawful acts, it added. July revealed the absence of body-worn camera recordings concerning the operation and the deliberate destruction of CCTV cameras and footage, among others. The brazenness of this operation, from the absence of body-worn camera recordings to the deliberate destruction of CCTV cameras and footages, and the failure to promptly surrender and account for confiscated items, shows a blunted disregard for the law and police procedures, he said. As PNP Chief Romel Marbel pointed out, this is just not a case of rogue elements. This points to a systemic failure in supervision and accountability, he added. Last week, 31 EPD personnel were involved in the case, as well its director, Brigadier General Villamor Duinlao, were relieved. The police officers were reportedly involved in a raid that led to the purported theft of some 75 million pesos in cash and valuables. Based on reports, their officers raided a house in Las Piñas City last April to serve an arrest warrant which was outside their area of responsibility. A temporary restraining order with a preliminary injunction and status quo ante order were sought to declare as invalid and prohibit the further implementation of the NAYA PPP project concession agreement. The 182-page petition was made by Joel Budoyan and Roger Royal of the Center for International Law, or Center Law, former Undersecretary of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Attorney Gabriela Vina, and Law Jeans, attorneys Major Soledad de Guirito Mawis and Jose Marie Benjamin Francisco Triro. The petitioners argued that the agreement, which was awarded the fastest in Philippine history, did not comply with and was in violation of the provisions of the new PPP code signed into law on December 5, 2023 and took effect before the bidding on December 23, 2023. Petitioners said the bidding process was done under the Build Operate Transfer law, even if it was already prepared by the new PPP code. Respondents DOTR, Department of Transportation, MIAA, Manila International Airport Authority, and BAEC, Pre-Qualification, Bids and Awards Committee, continued and concluded the bidding process for the project as if the BOT law was still in place, the PPP code did not exist, and without making any attempt or adjustment to comply with the new or updated revisions of the PPP code, as was their legal responsibility, the petition read. Petitioners also argued that the bidding proceeded without the terms being clear about how the concessionaire will be compensated. Fees, rentals, and charges collected by the MIAA from airport users were intended to fund the concessionaire's compensation, but must undergo a letterized rate fixing approval process, which includes public participation, which was bypassed, violating the constitutional right to due process. The revised Administrative Order Number 1, which governed these fees, rentals, and charges, were only approved in September 2024, a mere 6 months after the award of the project to NNIC, and more than 5 months after the signing of the concession agreement. The RAO1 was also passed without changes, despite objections from stakeholders, rendering the public hearing a mere formality. But despite the absence of the compensation mechanism as a bidding date on December 27, 2023, NNIC managed to back the contract by promising to pay MIAA 82% of the revenues on top of the 2 billion peso annual payments and the 30 billion peso performance bond for its 50 years contract. The petition read, if the subject concession agreement is rendered valid, it will open the floodgates to an open and institutional connivance between the government and business conglomerates or underprivileged entities to partner in operating public utilities, government monopolies, and government facilities which will disregard the mandate of the law to protect the public interest and to shirk from the obligation to provide affordable and accessible public services, the petition read. It will free the government of its duty to ensure the lowest rate, the best rates, and just rates for users, it added. According to the petitioners, the DODR and the MIAA have completely abandoned their statutory obligations with regard to NAYA, leaving Filipinos and airport users to contend with an administrative rate regulation is in violation of the law and against public policy, but also the all-important constitutional provisions of separation of powers, due process, and equal protection of laws. We are here dealing with people's hard-earned money, of which they are already being deprived every day without due process of the law, the petition read. Given the circumstances, the extreme urgency of and paramount necessity for a temporary restraining order with a plenary injunction or status quo and the order issued by the Honorable Court cannot be overstated, it added. Meanwhile, respondents were listed as Cabinet of the Executive Department, represented by Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, DOTR, MIAA, BAEC, the PBB Governing Board, and the NNIC. It is now 10:56. As we continue with more news headlines on koolNews Primetime, we will now head over to international headlines. A glitch in the electronic toll collection system on some Japanese expressways continued into Monday, impacting 106 toll gates on 17 roads in 8 prefectures. In addition to major expressways such as the Tome and Chio expressways, the problem was newly found to be affecting some toll gates in the central prefecture of Nagano, according to Central Nippon Expressway Co. The company opened the ETC-only lanes at affected toll gates Sunday afternoon and is calling on drivers using the lanes to pay the tolls through its website at a later date. The glitch, which occurred at around 12:30 a.m. Sunday, is likely related to a system update that conducted Saturday ahead of changes to late-night toll discounts to be implemented in July. Central Nippon Expressway is continuing to investigate the details of the issue. Hitoshi Ishiguro, age 56, who was heading to work in the city of Kofu in Yamanashi Prefecture, east of Tokyo, said that there was a traffic jam with over 30 vehicles Monday morning at a toll gate on the off-ramp of the Chuo Expressway at the Ichinomiya Misaka interchange as vehicles line up to pay toll fees. Ishiguro said, "I hope the ETC system will be restored swiftly, as there are likely many tourists coming to see Mount Fuji and cherry blossoms." And finally, let's get into the showbiz. Chris Aquino revealed that her medical team has grown, given that she is now dealing with 9 autoimmune disease, while reiterating that she is not a diva patient. Sharing photos of herself getting treated at the Makati Medical Center, Aquino opened up about her medical treatments for her autoimmune diseases on her Instagram page on Sunday, April 6. She also admitted that 5 of them can cause her death. Contrary to what you may assume, I am not a diva patient. I asked vascular surgeon Dr. James which hospital he was most comfortable to do my PICC line change in, and he chose Makati Med. She said, my medical team has grown because my diagnosed autoimmune disease have now grown to 9. 5 of them can cause my death. That has been hard to process. But slowly I am learning to leave everything to God's will because He knows best, she further explained. The actress host also shared that she regained her appetite and she currently weighs 88 pounds, while recalling the time that she received turon, chocolate chip cookies, avocados, carabao milk, beefsteak, pistachio sans rival, carbonara, and mangoes from friends. She added, Jessica So is so caring and is a real friend. Weekly she sends me mangoes. I eat a minimum of 3 a day. Chef Jessie for me makes the best angus bistec Tagalog, and her pistachio sans rival is superb. Mare in Royce Hotel, Clark has the best carbonara. I am now 88 pounds. That's a win, because God helps those who help themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 10:59 p.m. and that is all for koolNews Prime Time this evening. We will return with more news headlines tomorrow with the rest of available koolNews editions. You can also send us your comments, suggestions, and feedback to our email at tvh.philippines.news koolnews@gmail.com. Until then, I am Cairo, and this has been Cool News Primetime. Coming up next on Cool FM is Family Theater radio drama. The family that prays together stays together. This is your station. This is home. Good night.